long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Would you believe it's been nearly 40 years since those words first came across theater screens across the globe? Nearly 40 years. And in those 40 years, Star Wars has basically earned a place in the hearts of billions of people, numerous generations, and pocketbooks and deep wallets across the planet, maybe even the galaxy. I am, of course, talking about where it all began. I'm talking about George Lucas's Star Wars, which will later be known as Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. I wish I could remember exactly where I was when I saw the original Star Wars. I was 6, back in New Jersey, and I'm guessing it was either seen in a movie theater or a drive-in theater. I'm more gravitating towards a drive-in theater because I remember our family doing that quite a lot, heading out in the station wagon and going to it might have been the Super 130 in Willingboro, New Jersey, or the Tacony Palmyra drive-in in the Pennsauken, New Jersey area. And that's where my love affair with this franchise began, just like many other people you ever witnessed and lived, and even those who have passed all know about Star Wars. Star Wars arrived on May 25th, 1977. From what I read, it had a limited release and then just exploded from there, and became for 5 years, 6 years, I guess, the highest grossing film of all time up until E.T. came along and took the crown. And Star Wars incidentally took the crown away from Jaws, which came out in 1975. Another film directed by Steven Spielberg. Star Wars, for the uninitiated, is a space fantasy, a space opera. It's a very basic film about good versus evil, heroics, evil doings. Basically, it's patterned off a swashbuckler cliffhangers from the early 20s, 30s, and 40s, and it is a really fun and exciting ride for 2 hours. It's been 40 years, nearly 40 years, and again, it's kind of hard to really encapsulate just what it is about Star Wars in a relatively decent amount of time without like keeping people here for several hours. But there's so much going on in this film that introducing so many great characters, so many great situations, and an incredibly immersive world from a galaxy far, far away and from a time long, long ago, that you totally buy into this universe immediately. And it's almost like Avatar, where people almost believe that Pandora exists. And I'm sure many people, including myself at the time, probably wish that this universe existed. And because we never actually explored beyond our own galaxy, who knows what the hell's out there? There may be Ewoks and Wookiees and sadly Gungans. But we were introduced to the characters of Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia Organa, Han Solo, Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, the villainous Lord Darth Vader, the Grand Moff Tarkin, Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi. All of these characters are now etched in our memories as beloved characters that we all know inside and out. Die-hard Star Wars fans can instantaneously quote a line and know exactly what scene it was from and what was surrounding it, and other fans can basically say throw out any kind of trivia and they'll know the answer. I'm a Star Wars fan, but I sadly don't know everything there is to know about the movie. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who ultimately ends up messing up a quote or misquoting someone and or paraphrasing too much. But I absolutely adore the original Star Wars. Basically, the story is that in a galaxy far, far away, a war is broken out between the Empire and the Rebellion. The Rebellion has just struck their first defeat and have stolen secret plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon of destruction, the Death Star. And the movie basically follows these group of characters as they try to get these plans to the Rebel command so they can utilize them to destroy the Death Star. And in the course of the film, we are introduced to new characters, new worlds, and many exciting situations. And it's an unforgettable journey and an unforgettable ride. I mean, back in the day, it's not often that you go see a film multiple times. I'm pretty sure I saw the original Star Wars in the theaters, maybe at least a few times. And then countless times at the reissues. And I must have seen it at least 3, 4, maybe even 5 times when the special editions released for the 20th anniversary in 1997. And it never grows old, no matter how many times you see it. It still gets you. It's still exciting. It still stirs you. Everyone has their favorite moments or just their favorite cues or moments of dialogue, and it just takes you right back to being a kid again. I remember mentioning in many reviews, and that it was so great that a current film reminded me what it was like to be a child, seeing Star Wars again. Not many movies have done that, or even or knowing what an adventure movie was to be like to see Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time. And again, not many films have done that. But Star Wars is one that basically crosses generations, and no matter what generation you're from, be it from the generation who knew the originals to the generations who knew the prequels, everyone knows what Star Wars is. And even people who have never seen Star Wars can tell you who characters are without even knowing it. Or you just mentioned a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, they'll know it's from Star Wars, or you just mentioned Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker. They know who they are. They may not know what their story is, but at least they will know who those characters are from. And there aren't that many movies in the world that you can get away with doing that. I mean, mention Citizen Kane to someone, they were like, huh? What? No, I have no idea what that is. It's like Citizen Kane being one of the quintessential classic masterpieces of cinema, as many people consider it, from Orson Welles. And even there was a day where when Indiana Jones 4 was coming around, you mentioned Indiana Jones. It's like, oh, someone said, oh, is that the one with the guy with the hat and the whip? And they were in their 20s. They didn't know what Indiana Jones or Raiders of the Lost Ark was. So, but Star Wars, that's another story. That is basically accessible to everyone. It's Star Wars and its the following sequels and franchises and books and comic books and games and toys have all found its way into the lexicon and the iconography of the world, and it's just pretty amazing and expensive too. But as you can see, that poster right there cost me a little bit. That is an original mint original Star Wars theatrical poster. Pride of my collection. So yeah, the characters that George Lucas wrote and put together are just such a incredibly memorable cadre of rogues and villains, and they're all characters you all love and love to hate, and they're just so well performed by Mark Hamill, who plays Luke, Carrie Fisher, who plays Leia, Harrison Ford, who plays Han Solo, Peter Cushing, who plays Grand Moff Tarkin, Sir Alec Guinness was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even the people behind the mask that you wouldn't even know were there. Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca the Wookiee, Kenny Baker as droid R2-D2, and Anthony Daniels as C-3PO. All their performances are etched in our memories now, and I'm totally envious of anyone who has never experienced Star Wars in the first place. I envy them for their viewing of the film for the very first time ever. That is something I would never be able to experience again is something I sadly don't remember. I just know that I fell in love with this series and haven't even through the prequels have not fallen out of love with this franchise. But Star Wars is where it all began for not just me but for everyone. As I mentioned earlier, Star Wars was reissued in theaters. There was a reissue right before the release of The Empire Strikes Back, and I believe there was also another reissue right before Return of the Jedi. Now, in 1997, there was the 20th anniversary reissue, which was the special edition trilogy, which had many fans up in arms because basically Lucas took it upon himself to make some adjustments. Some were great, and others were very dubious, to be kind, I guess you could say. I, for one, actually like the special editions, but I do acknowledge there are some changes that he made that are quite problematic, especially in the original. The whole part about Greedo shooting first, that was one of the ones I hated. That totally, because he really changed your perception of who Han Solo was, and when Han Solo took him out, because he wasn't going to take any crap from anyone, it's like just one of his great character traits, and we loved him for it. But the fact that he basically just softened him up and made Greedo shoot first, and he's like, no, that's how it's supposed to be. But and no, fans agreed. Han shot first. Even Harrison Ford agrees Han shot first. And another issue with it was obviously the inclusion of the Jabba sequence, which at the time the CGI Jabba was just terrible looking. I mean, it was cool to see the scene, but it was just terrible. But for me, in terms of Star Wars the film, it robbed the reveal of the Millennium Falcon when Obi-Wan and Luke arrive at Hangar 94. Am I correct in that, or was it 84? It's one of the two, or I may be wrong. But when they first see the Falcon, and Luke exclaimed, "What a hunk of junk!" And that was the first time the audience and Luke see the Millennium Falcon. But now with the special edition, that reveal happens earlier in the film, and we're distracted with the whole Jabba the Hutt thing, so that when the reveal happens later, it just loses its impact. It's almost the same way I had a feeling in Peter Jackson's extended cut of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, where after when Aragorn goes in and recruits the Men of the Mountain, the spirits of the dead from the mountain. Sorry, I can't remember what it is exactly. But in the film, in the theatrical edition, we don't find out that Aragorn recruited the spirits until he finally arrives at the Battle of Pelennor Fields, and that was a great moment and a great cheering moment. But now we see him unleashing the power of the army earlier in the film, and that robs the impact of that later reveal. So that was just one of the editing moment that I thought was lost in both special editions of Return of the King and Star Wars. And also there was the unnecessary addition of Boba Fett in that very same scene, and that was just a bit much. Other than that, Lucas cleaned the film up, added some really cool visual effects and sequences to give the film a greater scope. There are purists who saying like, no, we're gonna stick with the original, and I had the opportunity to acquire the original trilogy unaltered on DVD. I had to search eBay and Amoeba Records in Hollywood to find the original trilogy special editions that came out that also had the original theatrical cuts, albeit unaltered, non-anamorphic, and 2.0 audio. But why carp, as long as I have those versions? And I was rather happy when I threw it on and saw the opening, and it just said Star Wars, and then it started with the opening crawl. There was no word of Episode 4, A New Hope, or anything like that. And that was not introduced until Empire Strikes Back was ready to roll out, and I believe that did not appear until the first VHS release of the film, which, funnily enough, I remember my friends and I coming together for my birthday slumber party, and we were going to watch Star Wars, and when we threw it on VHS, and it started with Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, and I was like, wait a minute, what? This is not Star Wars. What's this Episode 4, A New Hope thing? This is the first movie. What's this Episode 4 thing? I don't get it. The silly things kids say, and the funny things that I remember from 40 years ago, almost 40 years ago. I'm not that old. But yeah, Star Wars was an incredible film. It was such a fun and entertaining movie. It was nominated for, I believe, 9 or 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Score, Screenplay, and Acting for Sir Alec Guinness. It was the last time that a Star Wars actor in a Star Wars film was nominated for a acting nod, I believe. I may be wrong. And I think it might have been the last time George Lucas was ever nominated for Best Director. And it was certainly the last time any Star Wars film had ever been nominated for Best Picture. Sadly, Star Wars lost the Best Picture to Annie Hall, Woody Allen's Annie Hall. But one of the things that came out of note of obviously is John Williams' iconic score, and that has lived on for generations to come who just love listening to that score, whether it's watching the movie or just listening to the CD or on iTunes, what have you. The score is amazing. The screenplay is fast and entertaining and has a lot of wit, and the performances are also great. And it all amounts to one fantastic, fun, adventure, science fiction fantasy that the entire family can enjoy. And it became such an amazing success that it lived on to spawn, how many are we at? 3, 4, 5? Soon to be 8 Saga films and 1 and at least 2, maybe even 3 anthology films spun off from that. Not to mention the animated series, the countless animated series, TV movies, and everybody's favorite, the Star Wars Holiday Special. Happy Life Day. We would never have had that without Star Wars. Thank you, George. Thank you, Star Wars. Thank you, Itchy, the Wookiee. So, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Back then I would give it a 20 out of 10 if I could, but yeah, I gave that a 10 out of 10, and to this day I would still stick to that 10 out of 10. This is, for me, it was a perfect film. Not many films that I saw as a kid still holds up as perfectly well, and I can still enjoy it, might likely enjoy it just as much as I did back when I was 6 or 7 years old. And that was a long time ago in a galaxy not very far away at all. So, have you seen the original Star Wars? I'm thinking by the time, if you're here seeing this, that you must have. What did you think? Where does it rank in the original series for you? Where does it rank in the entire saga for you? Who are your favorite characters? What were your favorite moments? What were your least favorite moments? What did you think of the special editions? For me, it was just a total blast, and all these characters I just fell in love with, and I'm ready to go sit down and watch them all again right before The Force Awakens opens. So if you like my review, please hit that like button below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do, so you can stay on top of my further episodes of Countdown to The Force Awakens as they come in. And also other film reviews, including for The Force Awakens, so that you'll be around when that one hits. And as a programming note, I'm currently considering on doing a live review of The Force Awakens on Periscope. That would be December 17th, and probably for you East Coast peeps, that's probably going to be running pretty late, because it probably won't get out till close to 10 p.m. Pacific time, which would be, 1 a.m. Eastern. So for those who are around, like I said, I'm considering on running my review on Periscope Live, just as I get out of the theater and compose myself. So keep an eye out for that. And the next episode will be Episode 5. Where we will be looking at Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. So, until next time, may the Force be with you.